The Galactic War Council had been clear in their decision. Admiral Thekvar of the Zolonian Empire delivered the verdict with the cold precision that had made his species the undisputed military strategists of the galaxy for 3 millennia. Humanity is hereby banned from participating in the Trisolar War Games, he announced to the assembled delegates. Their unconventional methods violate the established protocols of civilized warfare. Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force kept her expression neutral as murmurs rippled through the crystalline chamber. The Zephyrians clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among their kind, while the silicon-based Korath representatives pulsed with satisfied amber light. Unconventional how? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. Admiral Thekvar's 4 eyes narrowed simultaneously. Your species employed psychological warfare, deception, and... He paused as if the words physically pained him. Humor, as tactical weapons. These are not the methods of honorable warriors. Chen remembered the incident that had triggered this ban. During the mock siege of Kepler Station, her team had convinced the defending Korath forces that their own backup systems were malfunctioning by broadcasting fake error messages in perfect Korath binary. While the confused defenders tried to troubleshoot problems that didn't exist, human Marines had waltzed through their defensive perimeter disguised as maintenance drones. The coup de grace had been Sergeant Rodriguez's victory speech, delivered entirely in limericks that somehow managed to be both respectful to their opponents and absolutely devastating to their military pride. I see, Chen said simply. Then we'll make our own games. The Alien Council exchanged glances, or the equivalent thereof. The Zephyrians' antennae twitched nervously. That would be inadvisable, Thekvar warned. The war games serve as the galaxy's premier military assessment. Any species attempting to create competing exercises would find themselves without allies when genuine conflicts arise. Noted, Chen replied, already planning humanity's response. 6 months later, the first Human Tactical Innovation Championship launched with little fanfare and zero alien participation. What started as a modest affair on a backwater moon quickly evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. Unlike the rigid formal structure of the Galactic War Games, where participants followed predetermined scenarios with predictable outcomes, the human games were chaos incarnate. Teams faced constantly shifting objectives, impossible scenarios, and rules that changed mid-exercise. The opening event exemplified the human approach. Participants were told they needed to capture a space station defended by automated systems. Standard military doctrine suggested a frontal assault or siege tactics. Instead, Team Alpha convinced the station's AI that it was actually a restaurant, and that the attacking forces were food critics. The AI, programmed to provide excellent customer service, not only lowered its shields but offered guided tours of its defensive systems. Word spread quickly through unofficial channels. Military observers from a dozen species began requesting permission to witness these educational demonstrations. What they saw challenged every assumption about warfare they'd held for millennia. Captain Zixtal of the Korath Defense Matrix watched in bewilderment as human teams turned supply shortages into advantages, used their own wounded as strategic assets, and somehow managed to win battles by convincing their enemies that losing was actually the optimal outcome. How do they think like this? Zixtal asked his aide after watching Team Beta defeat a numerically superior force by starting a dance battle that evolved into a negotiation that ended with their opponents voluntarily surrendering in exchange for dance lessons. Unknown, sir. Their tactical algorithms appear to be non-algorithmic. The breakthrough came during the championship's final event, an impossible scenario where participants had to defend an unarmed civilian transport against overwhelming odds while protecting a fragile diplomatic treaty. Every military academy in the galaxy taught that such a scenario had no solution. The best outcome was minimizing casualties while accepting defeat. Team Gamma, led by Lieutenant Marcus Webb, looked at the scenario and immediately began implementing a plan that violated so many rules of engagement that the alien observers initially thought their translation software was malfunctioning. They started by broadcasting a surrender message that was actually a complex musical composition. While enemy forces tried to decode what they assumed was a hidden message, Team Gamma used the distraction to deploy their civilian transport as a decoy. But instead of fleeing, the transport began broadcasting cooking shows in 17 languages. The enemy, consisting of AI-controlled drones programmed for combat scenarios, had no protocols for responding to recipes for chocolate chip cookies delivered in ancient Vulcarian battle poetry format. Their targeting systems, designed to track weapons and military assets, couldn't classify civilians who were simultaneously baking bread and teaching alien dance moves. In the confusion, Team Gamma managed to establish a neutral zone around the transport, declare it a cultural exchange site, and invite the enemy drones to participate in an impromptu intergalactic potluck. By the time the scenario ended, both sides were sharing recipes, and the fragile diplomatic treaty had evolved into a comprehensive cultural exchange program. The alien observers sat in stunned silence. "This is not warfare," Admiral Thekver finally said, his voice carrying a note of something that might have been awe. "No," Lieutenant Webb agreed cheerfully. "It's better." Within a year, every major military academy in the galaxy had established exchange programs with Earth's tactical training centers. The Galactic War Games, after 3,000 years of unchanging tradition, quietly introduced new categories for creative problem-solving and non-traditional strategic thinking. Captain Chen, now Admiral Chen, received a formal apology from the Galactic War Council, along with an invitation to serve as Chief Tactical Advisor for the reformed games. She accepted, on one condition: the humans would continue running their own championship alongside the official games. "Why?" asked Admiral Thekvar. Chen smiled. "Because the moment you think you understand how humans wage war, we'll find a completely different way to surprise you." The next year's Human Championship featured a scenario where participants had to conquer a planet using only interpretive, dance, and strongly worded letters. 3 teams succeeded. 1 started a new art movement, and 2 accidentally founded religions. The galaxy was never quite the same.